Hi, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to pop in today and just do a quick video talking about detriments, exaltations, and also connections and sort of relationships, but also how they can play out into the transits that are happening in the global aura as well. And I usually use celebrities, and I'm going to use celebrities again today because that's easy. It's easy for me to do because you can see it sort of playing out in the world, and you may not necessarily know exactly what's happening with them. And I absolutely have no idea what's really happening. But based on the news and what people are saying and rumors of divorce and so forth, we're looking at Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. And they've been married for a couple of years now, had a relationship many years ago, reconnected, got married, and it was sort of like the fairy tale romance. What's interesting is I looked at their charts, and we had rumors starting in May or maybe even before that, but I just could find something in May, rumors saying that they were going to break up, that they were divorce was imminent, that she wasn't wearing her ring and all that kind of stuff. I don't really care about what people do or don't do. Like, that's not on my trajectory of important events. But having said that, I think it's a great study to sort of look at how the transits can be playing into their relationship dynamic being sort of publicized and talked about, as well as some energy that they have a little bit together. And I don't want to get too far into their charts because, there's a lot that you could say that's happening in their charts together as a composite. And you can understand why they would have this passionate love affair that can fizzle and then get very passionate again and then fizzle. And there's a good chance that they would have some very passionate and inspired conversations, maybe even arguments, because of the connections that they have together. You have the 1222 channel, which is filled with passion, which is filled with romance, which is filled with desire and all those types of things. But it can also it can also turn into something very emotional because it is an emotional channel. It is a individual emotional channel where it is about sort of expressing your individuality. Now, think about your individuality as only being you, as being the center and wanting to express who you are. Now, you know, Ben Affleck has the Hanging Gate 12, which is sort of not always going to be out there wanting to express themselves and showing everybody who they are, because it is more of the quiet side, you could say, of the 1222 channel. And then you have Jennifer Lopez with the Gate 22, and this is bringing this energy of charm, grace, and all those types of things. Now, when you bring those two energies together, his 12 and her 22, we suddenly have an activated solar plexus, which both of them have open solar plexus or open emotional center. So this brings a tremendous vibe of energy to this particular relationship, which of course can have its peaks and its valleys. And I think that behind the closed doors, that might be something that is happening with them. Whether that's true or not, again, I'm just speculating. And when that happens, you have the activation of two dormant gates in Jennifer Lopez and one in Ben Affleck. So he has the gate 49 activated, and she has the gate 6 and also the gate 22 activated, which brings, of course, we talked about the 1222 channel. Gate 49 with Ben Affleck being activated really talks about, it is a revolutionary energy. It's about not being told what to do, about having your freedom, having your space to do what you want to do. And is that happening in his world? Maybe not. The gate 6 is diplomacy, coming together, trying to penetrate. But the other thing about the gate 6, which I think is very interesting, and I've noticed that she's done a lot of work lately, is this idea that you want to provide for your family. And so maybe that has been an impetus for her to be doing these movies and wanting to go on these concert tours and all these types of things. She did just cancel a whole tour. So changing their potential dynamic of what's happening. Now let's look at the exaltations and the detriments, because that's sort of what I really wanted to focus on, because they both get detriments and exaltations based on power, and it is individual energy. What he brings to her is she gets the detriment in her Jupiter in the gate 46 line 4, And she also gets the detriment of her moon in the gate 14 line 6. And she has a gate 14. Jennifer Lopez has a gate 14 activated quite a few times in her chart. So it is a big theme in her life. And it would make sense because she's had a lot of talent and luck with her talent. And it is really about loving what you do. And that's how sort of you make your abundance. It is individual abundance, individual talent can be acquired, and the things that you need can be acquired. And you can, a lot of times, you can identify the people that will help you sort of along the way. This is somebody who doesn't have the gate two. So obviously at some point in their career, she would have had somebody with the gate two helping her to sort of direct her energy and her ability to gain resources in a way where it was beneficial to her. From the other side, when we look at Ben's chart, we see that he has the gate 34 line 5 is now in exaltation when he is connecting with her. He also gets the juxtaposition of the gate 60. And that really, I wouldn't look at that as much because that really does mean that he can swing back and forth between the exaltation and the detriment at any point, and there's not really a big difference. One more interesting thing about Jennifer Lopez is that if you look at her gate 56 line 6, it's an exaltation, which is really the story of her. And she literally just came out with that movie. I think it's called About Herself, This Is Me, or something like that. So it's interesting how that is exalted. But let's look at the gate 14 line 6 with Jennifer Lopez, which really doesn't change the energy much because the gate 14 line 6 is one of those very special lines, which is called wealth and power at its most exalted. In other words, any side you get, it's beneficial. So it's just changing the dynamic a little bit. But basically, it says that you are meant to have abundance and fortune and good fortune based on the gate 14 line 6, and being in her moon, she's driven to do that, so that's okay. But when we look at the gate 46 line 4, and that's in detriment, that's kind of interesting because that changes it a lot. And we move into impact, and we move from the good luck that comes from being determined that eventually in the right place at the right time leads to recognition. Well, she already did get the recognition, and sort of that probably was, she could move back and forth. But now she's kind of fixed in this other energy, a reaction and achievement that tends to bite off the hand that feeds it, the determination in success to ignore those who helped create it. So she gets her success. Maybe she starts to break bonds with people who were particularly helpful to her, who were showing her, or people who were sort of helping her along the way. And maybe she's kind of going, well, I'm going to just do my own thing and I'm not going to listen to these people because I know what I'm doing. So it's kind of bringing a real change to her behavior, potentially, where she's no longer being appreciative of the people who helped her along the way. In other words, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go and do my own thing, and in biting off more than you can chew. And the fact that she just canceled this big tour that she was supposed to have might have meant that she felt that she was going to get a lot more people to come to this concert, and then it didn't really work out the way she wanted to. So biting off more than she could chew, not being aware of how it was going to impact her because she was so focused on just doing her own thing and not really being concerned with the outcome. So a change in basically seeing how things will play out, but also this idea of not potentially being in the right place at the right time to gain the recognition and the rewards that she wants, that she might have easily done before, maybe back and forth, but now it's like really fixed on one side instead of the other. For Ben Affleck, you see that he gets the exaltation for his Neptune, gate 34, line 5. And what I see with that is, like, if we look at Neptune and we look at it from a mystical perspective, you can do that, but you can also look at it from the perspective of drugs, drug abuse, those types of things, which has been, he's been an alcoholic, or he's had sort of issues with substance abuse for a lot of his life. And what this really does bring is it with the gate 34 line 5 is this ability to be able to moderate that, it seems that he doesn't always have to release his power in whatever way, and maybe his release was to have alcohol or substance or something like that. Maybe that's the way he releases power, and now he's sort of in a way where he is more balanced in that respect. because it is Mars in that energy where he knows when to release his power and when not to release his power. So, in other words, he may be more stable, less kind of drawn to substance abuse, and she may bring that balancing power to him. But then again, you have this full 1222 channel between the two of them. You also have two gate 45 energies. He has the hanging gate 45. She has a 4521, which means she also has a willpower, which means that she's going to overrule him for the most part. Or her way is going to get done because it's almost impossible with an open will center to kind of sort of meet the power of the will center and be victorious, you could say. So in other words, she's probably getting whatever she wants, and he's just saying okay. But they also both feel like they are sort of the king or queen of the castle, and so there could be that, like, well, almost I would say, in when you look at from a Hollywood perspective, you'd wonder if they were there was some quiet competition there of who was going to be the better actor or whoever, that type of thing. That could potentially be there as well. And even though they have both all the centers defined through the composite, you notice they still have a split from their head and ajna to their throat center. So in other words, they may not be able to talk about all the things that they're thinking about. So you could have a lot of pressure, a lot of thoughts, and not being able to articulate what you want to say. So basically, you still have that split. And there is this theory that when you have all centers defined in a composite or a relationship chart, there's no really to learn from each other, and there's no wisdom to be gained. But I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't fully go with the 9 and 0, no place to go kind of thing. But if you did believe in that perspective, then that could be a thing as well. Ultimately, we don't know what will happen or what won't happen. But when we have Saturn sort of in the gate 22, this is activating the energy of the gate 22, and it is activating the energy for her. And she seems to be more in the news than he is. And, sort of people taking a hard look at what's happening with her, what's happening with the relationship. And, Saturn's influence could very well be activating this. And we also have the 1222 channel that's going to be activated globally, which might bring even more focus to their relationship. That's going to be happening from the 13th to the 19th of June. So it'll be interesting to see if when that time period shows up, we see more conversations about them. And I hope you enjoyed that. It's just me sort of diving into charts, looking at the relationships, looking at the detriments and the composites. Now, you can always use all of these energies. Now, if Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck were not together, he would definitely be interacting with the energy of the gate 22 with Saturn on his own. And when he is away from her, he would have this full energy, which would bring an emotional energy that he wouldn't normally have. And it could change up the dynamic of his life and those types of things. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, let me know, and I can probably do more charts, and you can suggest any charts of people that you might like to hear about, or relationships, or even transits that can bring a detriment or an exaltation for a long period of time. Those are the types of things that can be really helpful to know, and especially for your own personal chart. So if you know that something's going to be an exaltation and it's going to fix one of your lines for a while, maybe something like Uranus, for instance, then it's really nice to see how it's going to play out for your life, and explore what it feels like. And especially for something like Jupiter, or even Saturn or Mars, or sort of the faster moving planets, because if you know that it's always going to come back, like for instance, Mars is about every 2 years, you can sort of maybe harness that energy and use it to your advantage going forward. And with that said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and take care, and bye for now.